Randomness. Now, when I actually did these notes on randomness, yeah, I don't know exactly how helpful these first 7 are, but they do help with some vocabulary. So let's go through these first 7, and I'll guide you through them since you haven't read the chapter yet, and your homework is to read the chapter, but we'll get information on it before we start. Okay, so first thing that we're going to do is we're going to identify the components that needs to be repeated. So that's the very, very most basic item. If you were making free throws in basketball, which is what we're going to be talking about, then what's the basic component in shooting a free throw? Yes, a hit or miss of your one shot. So one free throw shot, so an example here would be your one free throw shot, okay? Your one free throw. Okay, then you are going to explain how you model that outcome. So that is what goes here. When we just were talking about our random number generator and seeding our calculator, how did we model heads and tails? Good. We said 0 represented heads and 1 represented tails. So could we do the same thing here? We could do a hit or miss, okay? Say if it was a 50-50 chance, then we could model it with 0, 1, okay? So we could put a little example here. A 0 could represent heads, and a 1 could represent tails, okay? Then next you would explain how you're going to simulate the trial. So we would say something like, I'm going to run a random number generator, and each number represents a flip of the coin. Okay? State clearly what the response variable is. Now this is part of your vocabulary and your vocabulary cards, but we're talking through those. Response variable is the thing that happens. That's kind of like your outcome and your response. In math, okay, so think equations now. In math, we generally put what into the equation. What's the input? X's or Y's? X's. X's go in, okay? So those are explanatory variable because those are explaining and going in and explaining what's happening, and then what comes out of it is usually our Y, which in this case it's going to be our response to what went in. So our outcome is our response variable. Okay? We're going to run several what? Do you think? We're going to run several trials. And again, the number of trials that will be most representative of the entire population of trials. Remember when we talked bear hunt, we said the more the better whenever we were talking about how many trials should we come up with? Well, we're going to come up with that number later on this year. Then we will analyze. What variable do you think we're going to analyze? It's the same thing. We're going to analyze that response that happened and look at that response. We're going to analyze that response, and then we're going to state our conclusion. Okay? Hello, thank you. Okay, so then we'll state our conclusion. What did I put there? That happened in the trials or the results of the problem. Okay? All right, so now we're going to actually go into a real situation. Okay, so let's talk this situation. This is the type of thing that I need you to be skilled at doing. Creating a simulation is the main goal of this chapter. Understanding randomness and understanding the vocabulary, but being able to be given a situation to create a simulation that somebody else could reproduce the results of, or could reproduce that simulation. Okay, here we go. Suppose a basketball player has an 80% free throw success rate. How can we use random numbers to simulate whether or not she makes a foul shot? How many shots might she be able to make in a row without missing? And it tells us to conduct 20 trials. So what would a component represent? The most basic little piece in our simulation that maybe a number of our number generator would represent. One free throw shot. So the action that is occurring is a free throw shot. Okay? What are our possible outcomes and how are we going to define them and collect that data? Our possible outcomes are going to be hit or miss, but how can we represent that with an 80% free throw average? Yes, 8, good. That's good thinking. 8, the response was 8 is made. 8 are made and 2 are not. Good. So how could we use our random number generator and simulate that? You have to run the trials, okay. Well, but how does the calculator know what numbers to pick from, and then how do you know which numbers represent a hit and which numbers represent a miss? Okay, but we have 80%. 0 and 1 would be 50-50 chance. Okay, good. 1 to 10. 1 to 10 is our first instinct, okay, but let's just do single digits. So what if I said 0 to 7? How many digits are those? There's 8 of them. Okay, so that's our 80%. So if we get a 0 to a 7, then we can assume that that represents, oops, that doesn't represent a miss, that represents a hit. So then what would represent a miss if the random number generator came up with a 8 or a 9, came up with an 8 or a 9? So an 8 and a 9 represent a miss. Okay? You have to do that specific writing of defining what your number generator is going to represent. Okay. So then here we have trials, and so guess what? We're going to perform 20 trials. I'm going to give you an example of 2 of them, and then I'm going to let you actually collect some data and do the other ones. So let's do trial number 1 and trial number 2. So we would probably, on your paper and on your AP test, you would make yourself a little table, and you would say, okay, this is our trial number. Okay, here's a trial number. And here we're going to put our results. And then over here, this is going to be our outcome. Okay, so we'll do that in a minute. Now, what is our response variable? What is this? This outcome represents hit or misses, but there's something else. What is our response going to be? What response are we looking for? It's up here in the paragraph. What is our goal to look for when we punch numbers? How many she makes in a row without missing. Right here. So this here, okay, so this right here will, so my response variable is how many she makes in a row without, oh, you know what, that was bad. I should not have abbreviated like that because I don't want to get in the habit of abbreviating. We want to have good tuxedo quality write-ups all the time, and I have to make myself do that without a miss. Okay, so let's do 2 trials. Our results are going to be our statistics that we come up with. Here we go. Ready? We'll do mine, and then you can do the rest of the trials. We'll do mine for the first 2. Oh, man, that made that go away. I hate it when that happens. Okay, so I'm going to go math, over to probability, my random integer. Now, how am I going to do this in here? 0 to 9. Okay, and I don't care about how many in a row. So here's the first row. You ready? Okay, boom. Got it. So made it, made it, made it, made it. Yeah, this is a class, so this is going to be trial number 1. We're going to all do it together. And we're going to do trial number 2 all together, and then you're going to do 3 through 20 on your own. Okay? Made it, made it, made it, made it. Oh, missed. So what we should all write is that for trial number 1, our results were a hit, a hit, a hit, 4, 1, 3, 2, and then 8. So our outcome was, you're using mine for the first 2. So what's our outcome? 4. Good. 4 is the outcome. Why? Because 4 is how many I got in the row before I missed. Okay. Okay. Correct. How many she makes in a row before she misses, and then the outcome is how many that was. Okay, ready? I'm going to start my second trial right now. Here I go. I'm about to hit on my calculator again. Okay. Yes. Oh, really? Okay, you can do it on the way out. Okay, I hit. Oh, and then I missed. Shoot. So for my trial number 2, it went 4, and then it went 8. So what's my outcome? Okay. I want you to do that on your personal calculator for trials 3 through 20, and then I want you to come up with your entire average outcome. If you need room, that's fine. If you need it on another piece of paper or just whatever. Okay, so I'll let you do that. Okay, I put something in the wrong place, so just watch this and you may have to draw an arrow. On this word trial, what I really should have done is described what one trial would be representing. And so that would have been use a random number generator and select one number. It sure isn't. That's not tuxedo quality. Okay. But I already boo-booed, and so I'm going back and fixing it, and so, you know, yeah. Okay, so use a random number generator. So that's what I would have put there, and this was fine. And this right here, this would have been where I would have collected my information. That's why there's more space there. So I would have had 1 trial, 2 trials, and then I would have put my information that I had, my results, and my outcome, okay, that we had previously had. So there was a little bit more space there. Now, our statistic, what do you think our statistic's going to be? That's your average. Good. So a statistic is not just one piece of data. It's a collection of data and something that you calculate from your data. And so our statistic, in fact, if you looked at your vocabulary card, that would have described something like that. So our average, or you could say mean, my personal one was 3.1. I don't know what yours was. But my personal average. So what is that saying? So that's how what we're going to write in our conclusion. So how could we write an appropriate conclusion? How about I even start with some of the specifics up here for a player with an 80% free throw average, I would expect, and this is your wiggle word, I would expect, okay, that's not saying it's definitely going to happen. That's you saying based on your simulation what you would expect to happen. I would expect her to get approximately, another good wiggle word, 3.1 shots in a row before a miss. Yep. Okay, but it's a thorough conclusion. We know what she started with, what she did, and what my statistics were. Okay. All right, so there's one all the way through, baby stepping you through it. Now let's see if we can go through the other ones a bit faster. I will shortcut some of it so it won't all be tuxedo quality because we want to get through all of those. Okay, here we go. Number 2. How will a simulation change, a procedure change, if the success rate was only 72% rather than 80%? Okay, if you did 0 to 6 for your random integer, that's 70%, not 72%. What if you did what? Very good. So she's now thinking, because we have 2 places that we have to be accurate to, you're now doing it for 2 digits. So our component is the same. Our outcomes would be this. 0, 0 to 71 represents a hit. Because how many numbers is that? 72 numbers. Okay. And then what is the rest of this? 72 to what? 99. So these are all then 2-digit things. Represents a miss. So how would that look in your calculator? We would go random integer, 0 to 99, 0, 0 to 99, and then how many numbers are going to come up at a time? Do I need to say 2 come up at a time so that I get both digits? No, I don't. No. I just say 0 to 99. I don't even think I have to put 0, 0. But 0 to 99. And then it'll come up with a number, and I know it's either, whatever. If it's between 0 and 71, so I probably didn't even need this here. If it's between 0 and 71, then that's a hit. Okay. All right. So what's our response variable? Is that the same? Are we still looking for the number of shots she makes in a row before she misses? Okay, so that's all the same. So this is all the same. All this is the same. In fact, all of it's the same, but wouldn't we expect this to be different? Because why would we expect this to be different after we ran 20 trials? Yeah, because her percentage is now 72% rather than 80%. We'd expect our statistic to be different, but everything else is the same. So let's not run that trial or that experiment. Let's go on. Questions there? Okay. Okay, I got to fix that. Next, how would a trial, and so here's a different situation. How would a trial and our response variable change if we wanted to know how many shots she might make out of 5 chances she would get at a crucial point in the game? So there's a crucial point. She's going to be making 5 things. What would that do for us? Let's, you know what, for simplicity's sake, let's go back to 80%. This is going to just, because we don't want to add that difficulty in there, not that it's, I mean, it's just a little more technical. So we want to know how many she might make out of 5 chances. So our outcome is going to be, so our component is still 1 shot. Our outcome is back to the 0 to 7 is a hit, and 8 and 9 are miss. Okay, so, but what would a trial be? If we are trying, the thing says, we want to know how many shots she might make out of 5 chances. Correct. So one complete trial is 5 numbers. You know, use a random number generator. Use a random number generator and get 5 numbers. So, you know what I might do is I might go like this in my calculator. Random integer, 0 to 9, throw up 5 at a time, because I want to see how she did on those 5 shots at a time. What would my response variable be? Previously, it had been the number of shots she makes in a row before a miss. But what's my response variable now? Correct. How many shots she makes out of 5. And it says it right here. If we want to know how many shots she makes out of 5. So that's our response variable. How many shots made out of 5. Good. And then our results and our conclusion and all that kind of stuff. So just let me show you what that would look like on our calculator. Yep. So random integer, 0, 9, 5. And watch what it looks like. See? There's her 5 things. So how would I record this in my table? My response variable, what would the number be for my response variable? 4. Because she made 4 shots out of 5. Good. Here's another 5 shots. Here's my second trial. How many did she make? 3 out of 5. My third trial, 4 out of 5, and so on. Okay? All right. Number 4. How would a trial and our response variable change if we want to know her chances of hitting both shots when she goes to a line to shoot 2? Okay, does our component change? It's still 1 shot. Our component is still 1 shot. Our outcomes, it's still 80% chance of getting it. Okay, so that's the same. How does our trial change? Let's see. I'm thinking our trial is going to be how many shots? I think it's going to be 2 shots. Yeah, I think so. I mean, when I put this in my calculator, this is not how I would describe it on the AP test, but on my calculator, I'm thinking I'm going to be doing this. Random integer, 0 to 9. I'm shooting 2 at a time, and then I'm going to see what's my response variable going to be. So 1 trial is 2 shots. My response is going to be how many, what does it say? We want to know her chances of hitting both shots. So since it's saying her chances of hitting both shots, then my response should be her chances of hitting both shots. Okay, so I would say how many shots she made. And then my statistic is going to be giving me that percentage chance. Okay. So it's going to flash 2 at a time, and then I'll know. questions there. Sarah. Because a component is the most basic piece that one number represents. Each action. The trial is the two shots. So one trial is her going to the free throw line. Then later she gets fouled again. Her second trial is going to the free throw line again and shooting two shots, and so on. Okay? All right. So now let's do the last one and see how this would change if we want to know her score in a 1-and-1 situation. Okay. So what that means is here she tries the first shot and she only gets the second shot if she makes the first one. So how would we run that? Our component, what is our component? It's still going to be one shot. Our outcome is going to still, we're at the 80%, so our outcome is still going to be a 0 to 7 represents a hit, and 8 and 9 is a miss. Okay, and that outcome is based on that information that we got, that it's an 80% probability. Okay, but what does a trial look like? One single trial, what would that look like? That's her going to the free throw line for a 1-and-1 shot. What's it look like? Correct? Okay. Plus, that's going to change our response variable. Okay, so look, so that's going to be the same as above. So it's going to be, so your trial, I would probably look at 2 shots, but only count the second shot. So only count that second shot number if what? If the first one was made. If the first shot was made. All right. Follow that? So we might even do this one. But what's our response variable? Because for some reason I think it was saying her score. So when I do my response variable, is each free throw a point? Yes, okay, each free throw is a point. Okay, so our response variable is going to be the points made in each what? Trial. In each trial. And how many is that going to be? Either 0, 1, or 2. It could be 0, 1, or 2. Because 0 if she missed the first one, 1 if she got the first one but missed the second one, and 2 if she got them both. Okay. Let's try that one. So when I put this in my calculator, I'm going to go random 0 to 9, throw up 2, throw up 2, okay. So what happened on the first shot? She missed the first shot, so don't even count the second. So when I record my outcome, what is my result, my response variable? How many? 0 points. Good. Okay, what's this one? 6, 4. Okay, so she makes the first one. Hold on just a second. She made the first one, so that's 1 point. So I go to the second one, and did she make the second one? Yes, so that's 2. So our response variable we record here would be 2 points. Okay, got it? Good. All right.